Hi everyone. So today in our church it's the 17th Sunday in Ordinary Time, and the readings today, the first reading, it's from 2 Kings 4:42 to 44, and then the psalm is Psalm 144. The second reading is Ephesians 4:1 to 6, and the gospel is from the Gospel of John. It's chapter 6 verses 1 to 15. So today what I wanted to look at was the theme that comes through from the first reading, the second reading, and then the gospel. In the first reading we have the sharing of the loaves. We have Elisha who has the first fruits, and he's basically sharing out the loaves to the people. There's 20 loaves of barley and fresh ears of grain in his sack. So he tells his servant to take that and to give it to the people. And his servant says, how can I set this before 100 people? And Elijah says, give it to them to eat, because they will have more than enough. So the servant gives it to them, they eat, and they have some left according to the word of the Lord. Then the psalm is asking for God to feed us, to satisfy our souls, to fill us up with His teaching, with His blessings, to fill us up so that we have our food from God in due time. Because we know that all God's ways are just and loving, and that God is close to all of us who call on Him from our hearts. And then in the second reading we have the unity in the Spirit. So there's only one Spirit, and it's a spirit of hope, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and one Father of all, who is above all, through all, and in all. And you'll find that when we say the creed in our church, that's what we are saying. If you look at the Apostles' Creed and the Nicene Creed, you'll find that these words are taken directly from the scriptures. It's directly from the Bible that they've taken it, and they have put the I believe, so that when we say the I believe, we are recalling there's only one God, one faith, one baptism. And so this is what we repeat in our church. We repeat it at the 11:30 Mass. They sometimes say the Nicene Creed, where we speak about believing in the visible and the invisible, and the other masses we say the Apostles' Creed, which is shorter. And then we have the Alleluia, which is professing that Jesus is the prophet risen among us. And in the Gospel of John we have this confirmation of the multiplication of the food, the bread. So basically Jesus is on the Sea of Tiberias, and there was a large crowd following him because of the signs, the miracles he worked, and what he was doing for the sick. And then they come to Jesus, and Philip says, where are we going to buy food for all these people? There's so many people following you. And Jesus tells Philip to share out what they have. There was a little boy there who had 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. And we have this repetition, like the servant asked in the first reading. In the gospel we see that Philip is asking, how is this going to be enough for so many people? And Jesus says, make the people sit down. And they sat down on a grassy hill. They sat down, about 5,000 of them. And Jesus takes the loaves and he gives thanks and he distributes them to those who are seated, and also the fish. So we have this confirmation that Jesus is doing the same that Elijah did, and he's feeding even more. It's 5,000 now. It's not just the number that was there in the first reading. It's not a small amount of people. This is much larger. It doesn't tell us exactly how they did it, but it says in the first reading there were 100 people. Now we have many more. I mean, how many times have you multiplied that? And they eat, they're satisfied, and they have fragments left over from those 5 barley loaves and from the fish. They fill 12 baskets of leftover. So these signs are the signs that people who had read the scriptures would realize in the Bible days. They would realize what was happening, and they wanted to come and take Jesus by force to make him king, but he withdrew from that. He didn't want that. So again, it's how the confirmation comes through the gospel, how the confirmation comes, and how we read and understand the gospel. So Jesus is united with the Father. He's one with the Father, and he believes that the Father will work through him to perform these miracles. And the miracle is confirmed. It's multiplication of the loaves and of the fish. And Philip is like the servant in that first reading, coming to Jesus saying, how is this going to be enough? So we have this confirmation too. We say it as spiritual directors, when you look for the confirmation, it's a confirmation that will lead you closer to God and into community. It's not a confirmation that isolates you, that makes life worse for you, that makes you afraid, that makes you fear. That is not the confirmation that God brings to us. So those were the readings for today. And this is also the story of Moses, when Moses asked for the manna to feed the people in the desert, and how this confirmation is repeated again here. So these are the things that we can notice. These are the things that we can take note of, and that we can also do for our brothers and sisters in need. And whether it's through our gifts, sharing our gifts, our talents, like even this, what I'm doing now. I may not have money to give people, but my internet costs money. My rent costs money. So that's why my talks are free, but if people can help me and if they can give money towards my upkeep, that is also a good thing. But this is how we are trained to read the Gospels. And if you pick up a missal, if you pick up the Sunday missal and you read, it is explained in there. It's not like it's hidden knowledge or it's something that the church is hiding from people. It's explained in there. At the beginning, they have a piece that explains to you what it is, what to look for, and what is happening. And today in Canada, we also celebrate Grandparents' Day. So for me, I have been blessed. I have grandparents from both sides who kept their faith. And they believed, they went to church, they encouraged faith in the home. We prayed together. They blessed us on both sides. My mother's parents blessed us over our hands, and my dad's parents. And I miss them. I miss my grandmother very much, and my grandfather. They were very kind people. They were very compassionate people. And they liked me for who I am. They liked me with my long hair, with my makeup. My aunt used to send me makeup from America, my godmother. And they used to say, you want to wear your makeup, wear your bikini. You want to do what you want. They accepted me for who I was. And I miss them because they were very kind people. They were people who set a good example in the community. They stood up for human rights. They stood up for interracial marriages. They fought for us to go to school, to get an education. When my mother didn't want to pay for me to take piano lessons, my grandmother spoke to my grandfather, and she said she wants to go for the music lessons, so he paid for it. And that gift of my music has not only benefited my family, because they got to hear me play almost on a weekly or daily basis. It benefited the Kwekwe community where I grew up, where I played in concerts. I played sometimes for plays at the theaters. I played for family and friends for their weddings. And I didn't charge for any of this. I played the organ at church. I played for funerals. And the same when I came to Canada, I played for Mass at Regis College. So because of their faith in me and because of their faith in Jesus, the gifts and talents that were given to me, I have used to better other people's lives. And it's benefited me because it helps me with my emotional health, my mental health. It helps me to stay focused on positive things. And my grandfather and grandmother were always with us. Once they lost their municipal home, they came and they stayed with us in our home in Beverly Hills. And they loved Zimbabwe. They did not like America. They did not want to go to America, to live in America. It wasn't just because of us. They loved Africa. They loved the lifestyle, the community, having our own sports club to go to. There were many things about Africa that my grandparents liked and that they enjoyed. So we were fortunate and we were blessed. God blessed us with very good grandparents. And my mother's mother came and visited us in Zimbabwe. And I wanted her to stay. I asked her, why don't you stay here? And she's like, no, I miss India. I want to go back. But she did come. She spent time with us. And I met my grandfather on my mother's side as well, because we went for my uncle's wedding. So I got to meet them and I got to meet my mother's family in India. And I was bridesmaid for one of my uncles, Francis. And that's the beauty of faith when it's encouraged in the home, because people see what we do and then they have a desire to do that. And it does take discipline. It's not like it's, oh yeah, I'll just miss church this week if I feel like it. It's a discipline that we keep to go to church, to be in the Eucharist. And after he died, I missed him because he treated me very gently, very kindly. He never woke me like my mother. Sometimes my sister used to do something wrong, I used to get her hiding. And she wouldn't even listen to me. She used to just say, come here, and take me between those closets and whip me with a peachy stick. And sometimes I pushed back. And I said, no, you stop hitting me. Every time you hit me because she's in pain or she did something, and it's not my fault. So it still happens today. If my sister's having problems in her life or things are not going well for them, they take it out on me, the same way they coordinated those calls to work. And it's not my fault. What right do they have to put those calls through to my workplace? I'm not doing anything to them. And since I've come to Canada for 20 years, I've been trying my best to get into a good paying job, to get into something that pays me better. My brother got his job through someone he knew in England. My sister got her job through an agency. And she was lucky. She stayed in that company for 20 years. I didn't have that privilege. And I didn't have my grandfather around to help me, to be that barrier between me and my mother. Because my grandfather used to protect me from her. Sometimes she would even forget to come pick me up at the school. Everybody would be gone home. I would be sitting there. Then I used to go to the payphone and try to call the shop. And I didn't have money, so they couldn't hear me. And I'm not joking, it hurt me very, very deeply what my mother did to me. And even now, it hurts me what they do to me. Because I've been a good sister to them, I've been a good daughter to my mother. But every time my sister goes through hard times or goes through difficulties, they all take it out on me. And it shouldn't be allowed. The police should not allow them to track me and put those kinds of calls through to me. She's sitting and crying on the other side. But she won't come and talk to me or come and visit me or spend time with me. But they take it out on me. And I got tired of it. My grandfather was a very special man. He helped a lot of people and my dad in our community. My dad used to also hire people from the Muslim community, the Hindu community, because people couldn't get jobs because of the racism. And they were good. They were very good. But I've realized I've always appreciated my grandparents, but today in a special way we remember our grandparents for their faith. My grandmother gave me a rosary. I've still got that rosary. That's the white one you see me wearing sometimes. So, and she used to pray for us after we said the Angeles. They used to give us a blessing over our hands. And I was always with them. They never left me out of anything. They were not like my mother. My mother, when I tell her I want to come, she'll say, no, you don't come. We're doing our own thing. You do your thing. So that's not a family. I told her, I said, we're not a family anymore. Because whenever I want to come, even though you retired, you've always got something. So I told her we're not a family anymore. Because even when we were small, I had to walk to the school. She used to pick up a friend and take her friend in the car with her. My grandfather wouldn't allow that. He wouldn't allow us to be in the home without food. There was food in the shop, but she used to leave us. Say, you people go to sleep, there's no food. I mean, it's cruelty to do that. And I used to say to her, no, I'm going to phone Mrs. Harry and I'm going to ask her if she's got any food. I used to tell her off. I used to say, there's food in the shop there. There's tin food, there's tins of meat, there's tins of sardines. Why can't you bring it home? She's like, oh, that's for selling. I said, you know what, you're cruel. Because yes, it's for selling, but that's our business. You could write it off. She didn't want to listen. Then afterwards, the business went down. Even when I went to university, I used to tell her, I said, reduce the price of the things and sell the things. No, we're going to lose money. I said, you're losing more money by not marking it down and keeping it there. So she was cruel to me. I told her, I said, even now I don't get much money. I get $800 every 2 weeks. I said to her, give me the money. I know you've got the money. Why did you make an arrangement with the police so that I always stay in debt? She's like, I don't know. I said, you did it. I know you did it because every month you send me just enough so that I stay under that 3,000. I said, if you people wanted, all of you, Uncle Marcus, Uncle Louis, Auntie Delise, Auntie Julie, all of you could get together and put some money together for me so that I could come up. But you don't want to do it. Instead, you people are telling the police, oh, she's not capable of making good decisions. We don't think she can hold a job. She's the problem. I said, it's not right what you're doing to me. Because I've worked very hard. I've studied. I've put forward myself. I've been a CEO of companies in this country. And she's like, you always got something. I said to her, no, I'm tired of it. I was swearing her because of how she treats me. Because it's not right. I was never left out. When my grandparents were alive, I was never left out. They might have not liked it. My mother might have not liked it and my sister, but that was their love for me. My grandfather made sure after my dad died that I was never left out, that I was treated with respect, that I had a bed to sleep on, that I was taken care of. Even when my mother needed to come to Canada, my dad's cousin treated me like a man. He put so much pressure on me. Instead of putting that pressure on me, why didn't they put that pressure on my sister's husband and my sister? All the pressure was on me. I was treated like a man. The only reason I got through this is because of my faith. I miss my grandfather. And I'm glad he refused to go to America because he deserved to stay in Africa and enjoy his life. And my grandmother didn't want to go either. My mother's laughing. She'd say, she wanted to go, Belinda. I said, no, she didn't. I said, you used to hurt her. She used to go and take money from the till and used to say, Mommy, don't take money from the till. I'll give you a salary. I said, it was her business. You hurt her and hurt her and hurt her and you hurt me. So eventually she left. She didn't want to go. I'm tired of being treated like this. And I'm very grateful God gave me such good grandparents. Even going to the grave, putting flowers on the grave, cleaning the grave, that's the connection between earth and heaven. It's in the Bible. That's why the women went after they buried Jesus. We don't just bury people and then forget about their graves. That's their final resting place. I can't go to their graves, so I keep their frame. I keep my grandfather and my grandmother's picture where I play by my music. I keep my dad's picture here. But these are the things that are important. If you do rubbish to people and eventually you land up living in a barn, whose fault is it? They act like I told my mother to get married. I see her face sometimes. I'm very nice to her husband. I see how she changes her face, even when I say goodbye to him and give him a kiss. So I keep away now. I don't want any problems with anyone. I deserve better in life. It's too upsetting for me, and I've been through too much. So I just cherish the memories I had, the good times I had with my dad, my Papa Ama, and my Grandma Cecilia, and I move forward. Nobody else is going to do for other people what they did. Nobody is going to do it. But whatever I can do to set a good example, I try to do it. It's important to remember our grandparents. Very important. Because without them, I wouldn't be playing my music. I wouldn't have gone for dancing. I wouldn't have gone for swimming classes. I wouldn't have done anything. My mother gets very, very upset about all the sacrifices she made. What about all the sacrifices I made? Even as a kid, what about all those sacrifices? I'm tired of everybody coming down on me because I also want to come up in life. I also want to come up financially. And if they want to put pressure on me, I'm not taking it anymore. I told my dad's cousin also, leave me out of it. Because Anita and Stuart have nothing to do with me. If you want to put pressure on somebody, go and put the pressure on them. I'm not the eldest, and I took on so much responsibility. And is it appreciated? No, it's not. It's not appreciated by anyone. Everybody's very quick to put me down and say I'm the problem and I can't hold a job and I'm not going to succeed in life. Well, guess what? I am a success in life. And if I had to do it over, I would just tell my dad's cousin, you know what, I'm not doing it. If Anita and Stuart don't want to sponsor her, I'm leaving her in Zimbabwe. You people can live with her. Because she wasn't nice to me. And that's the reality. I grew up with her laughing at my baking, making fun of me, saying, oh, look at her, there she goes again, taking things out on me, and I had enough of it. I deserve better from my family. I really do. And I'm glad God gave me such loving grandparents. And if I get a job in England or in Dubai or in America as an executive assistant earning 70,000, 80,000, I'm going to go because I'm tired of living like this. I put in a lot of work and my grandparents made a lot of sacrifices for my mother as well. They made a lot of sacrifices and she gets all the support from my uncles. Even when I tell them what she's doing, they don't support me. So I've had enough of it. And I really hope the police don't damn support my sister again and the church, because I've done nothing to her and her husband. I've done absolutely nothing. My brother came, they couldn't even have me over for one day. She had a whole month with him. So I'm tired of it. It's not fair to me. And my grandfather would never have allowed it. My dad as well. My grandfather would never allow people to treat me how I'm being treated today.